Well, good day, YouTubers. And firstly, I want to quickly wish everyone a very happy new year. As I said previously, let's hope 2023 delivers the goods. I won't count my chickens. Right, the main part of this video is it's around about, what is it, 2018-19. So that's it's around about 4 years. Is that right? Yeah, it's about 4 years since I've never spoken about it before, but since I came that close to stopping doing canal videos and what became Travels by Narrowboat, or what was Travels by Narrowboat actually, on Vimeo. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, back in, it was the Christmas New Year period of 18 to 19. And I'd before that moved the series. I hadn't left YouTube, but I moved the series of videos that I'd produced from YouTube to Vimeo, because, among things which I've spoken about before, but one reason was that I was earning about £60 a month, which wasn't sustainable. It was eating into the very small amount of savings I had. So it couldn't continue. So I moved on to Vimeo, and there was an initial thing. The most it ever got to was about £60 a month. But by the end of, what was it, about 18, 19, Vimeo, it was a disaster. It was down to about, if I was lucky, £5 a month in sales. You know, it's ridiculous. So I'd got to the point where I arrived at Sawley Junction, yeah, the River Saw, River Trent, and then the Trent Mersey Canal, that junction down there. I got to that point and I'd filmed season 5, where I'd come down the River Trent and arrived at Sawley Junction, and I made my big double CHG cheeseburger and so on. And I ended up thinking that this can't continue. The plan, you know, if there was a plan, was that if I was doing it, I mean, ultimately I would need an income of some sort in order to eat and live. So I basically decided, well, this is it. I've done 5 seasons. I've tried my best. Loads of people have told me it's great, but it was getting nowhere. So I just decided, right, I've got 2 choices. I either continue on as I've been doing and just hope that, you know, things pick up, and, you know, producing videos, traveling and living become a symbiotic relationship that support each other. But like I say, so far that hadn't happened. So the 2 choices were either continue or I stop. And I had pretty much decided, well, it's not going to work, I'm going to stop. I'm going to find a nice little mooring somewhere, get a job locally, just some simple stress-free job, stacking shelves, Audi, I don't know, just something simple and mundane, which pays a basic wage, which would comfortably pay for life on a boat, everything that goes with it, and a mooring. But I discussed it in depth with a friend, and I was convinced basically to just give it one more push, which became season 6. I left Sawley, I continued on down the River Saw through Leicester branch of the Grand Union, and got to Crick. And to me, well, you know, I'd spent the last few years trying my best. I'd got together this body of work, and I'd gone off on a mission, not only to just travel the canals, but to find myself, find a new life for myself. And I went right around the country and got back and arrived back at Crick, and I thought, right, season 6, there we go, that's it. Now I thought to myself, where am I going to find a mooring, get a job? And I thought, well, if I'm going to do that and I'm just going to settle down to a nice simple existence, then I want to do it somewhere, familiar. And the nearest place I knew fairly well, which had a canal connection, so I could get Aslan up there, because I couldn't afford a lorry or anything like that. So I thought, well, the Lancaster Canal, and that explains this huge gap in canal travel between Crick at the end of season 6 and then on the Leeds and Liverpool Canal at Berska at the bottom of the Rufford branch. I've gone from Crick all the way up to Berska in the northwest, and in the meantime, I don't know how how it came to me. I think I must have been just cruising the internet, and it popped up, and it was Amazon. And I thought, well, how did people get on Amazon? How does that happen? So I contacted them, and as I've said before in a video quite a couple of years ago, I contacted them, heard nothing for a month, and then they came back to me, and as they say, the rest is history. But I thought, well, I don't know how it's going to work out with Amazon. As I said before, the first month I earned something like 9 pence, I think it was, and then it was 90 pence, and then the month after that it just went ballistic. But in the meantime, not expecting anything to come of it, significantly, I was making my way up the up the canals to Berska, and I did a video along the way, which was like an exciting announcement. I think I was stood on the front of the boat like that, and I said that I'm going on Amazon. So I eventually got to Berska, and on the way Amazon took off. So by the time I got to Berska, it was a completely different kettle of fish, and I thought, well, I'm going to continue then. And I started filming along the Rufford branch over the Ribble Link, and that became season 7 eventually. When I got to the other side of the Ribble Link and onto the Lancaster, I felt I was just worn out. I was exhausted from everything that I'd done previously, and I got from Crick to Berska in around about 2 weeks. I was a one-man machine. 2 weeks, and I thought, I'm knackered, so I just went 16 miles up the canal into Garstang Marina, continued putting all the existing, my back catalogue, the series, onto Amazon, which took quite some time, and I then found myself in a position which I'd often dreamt of, but until then had totally escaped me. 49, 50 years, whatever it was, 51 years, it had completely escaped me. I found myself in a position where I could now do various things which I'd always dreamt of doing, one of which was road trips, touring around on a motorcycle, which is where Travels by Motorbike came from. Of course that never happened because, sod's law, I'd waited and prayed my entire life to be in a position to be able to do things, and when I finally got to that position, I couldn't do it because we got locked down for 2 years. I felt quite angry about that, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, that was the time when Travels by Narrowboat was basically going to be no more. So after all that, I don't want to introduce some uplifting, inspiring music, but after all of that, my message would be for 2023 and beyond: if you have a dream, a plan, if you're doing something and you feel it is great, but it's just not getting anywhere, just stick with it. Just stick to it as long as you can, as long as you can. If you can put bread and cheese on the table every day and pay your bills, just stick at it, because you do not know what is going to be around the corner. You just don't know. I mean, it was that close, and yeah. Well, there you go. That's the end of my rambling. Have a fabulous 2023, and yeah, best wishes to you all, and cheers for now. Ooh, I'm making my way through the huge box of Tetley, but there's other teas that viewers have recommended. One is Ringtons. I've never heard of them, but once I've nearly finished the Yorkshire, I shall look into that. So cheers for now.